The day I had long anticipated finally arrived. It was time to break free from the constant presence of your face and the freeloaders who took without ever giving back. They should have appreciated the generosity they received all these years. With newfound resolve, I declared, I won't be coming back. Thank you for everything until now. I quickly packed my essentials and bid farewell to the house that had been my home for so long. As I stepped outside, I caught a glimpse of satisfaction on my mother-in-law's face, oblivious to the poignant secret I carried with me. My name is Megan. I'm 35 years old and work remotely. I've been married to Charles for 6 years, but our marriage faced challenges when his once healthy father fell seriously ill, demanding our constant attention. Although I hesitated to move in with my in-laws, I agreed out of necessity. Charles was their only family able to provide care. Initially contemplating quitting my job to manage his care full-time, my company allowed me to continue working remotely due to my strong performance. However, living with my in-laws quickly revealed its challenges, including the classic tensions between a mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. Megan, hurry up with the cooking and cleaning. How long will you avoid your household duties? My mother-in-law would chide. I'm working right now. I'm always just clicking away at the computer. I'd retort, juggling chores and caring for my ailing father-in-law. After 4 months of intense effort, I managed to return to my pre-crisis salary, which brought me a deep sense of joy. Yet my relentless dedication was fueled by a harsh financial reality. Charles's income alone couldn't support us. Despite hoping for a more relaxed life ahead, financial struggles persisted, prompting me to consider saving some money. As time passed, my financial challenges multiplied inexplicably. It felt as if my wallet was draining. Concerned, I scrutinized our expenses and, to my dismay, discovered that Charles had developed a penchant for unnecessary luxuries. My mother-in-law, too, indulged in extravagance, often splurging on hobbies and social events. Eager to please, Charles frequently used our credit cards for not just work-related lunches but also lavish parties with friends. Meanwhile, the burden of household chores and caring for my father-in-law rested solely on my shoulders. I was using nearly all my income to cover our living expenses, making saving money seem like a distant dream. Worried about our dwindling finances, I cautiously approached the topic with Charles. It seems we've been spending excessively. If this continues, we might deplete our savings entirely. Could you please consider cutting back? His response was far from understanding. I don't want to seem stingy in front of my colleagues and subordinates. Can't you understand that? I get that maintaining good relationships at work is important, but paying for their expenses every time isn't necessary, I reasoned. And what about those nights out at the bars? Surely that has nothing to do with work. My concerns were harshly dismissed, leaving me frustrated and anxious about our financial future. As I struggled to balance our household needs with ongoing financial irresponsibility, it became increasingly clear that I needed to find a way to rein in the spending or risk serious financial turmoil. I confronted Charles, my frustration bubbling to the surface. It feels like you just want to have fun, doesn't it? You come home drunk and talk about your outings as if no one else matters. Sometimes it seems you enjoy those moments more than being with me. My mother-in-law, however, brushed off my concerns with a laugh. I'm glad Mom understands, Charles said, confidence dripping from his voice. My mother-in-law defended her spending habits. If I didn't take these classes, I'd just be stuck at home all day. I'm enjoying time with my friends, she insisted. Their harsh words echoed in my mind, leaving me grappling with their dismissal. They labeled me a terrible daughter-in-law, criticizing me for not earning a traditional income, even though I was dedicated to managing the household and caring for my father-in-law. To them, that made me unworthy of any complaints, a notion that baffled me. Despite their judgment, I knew the truth. I was working diligently from home, contributing a steady income while balancing housework and caregiving. Their skepticism and condescending attitude toward my remote work were disheartening. To add insult to injury, my mother-in-law had woven a narrative for Charles that painted her as the sole caregiver for my father-in-law, portraying me as a lazy homemaker. This twisted perception of my role left me speechless and pained by the injustice. Throughout the countless times I considered leaving this difficult situation, it was my deep concern for my father-in-law that kept me grounded. From the early days of my marriage, he had always treated me with genuine kindness, a stark contrast to the way Charles and my mother-in-law treated me. His sincere expressions of gratitude, often calling me a wonderful daughter-in-law, touched my heart. Whenever he needed care, he would apologize for the inconvenience and always express appreciation for my dedication. These moments provided me solace and a strong sense of purpose in caring for him. I couldn't bear the thought of leaving my father-in-law at the mercy of Charles and my mother-in-law. He seemed acutely aware of the family dynamics and recognized my contributions not only in caregiving but also in maintaining our household's financial stability. His words of appreciation were a source of comfort, fortifying me with the strength to endure an environment that often felt hostile. The fear of what might happen to the household without my stabilizing presence weighed heavily on me, but my greater concern was for my beloved father-in-law. So, I resolved to stay and provide him with dedicated care till the end. A year later, his funeral became an emotional battleground. Amidst my profound grief, my tears were met with cold disapproval, intensifying the weight of my loss. This reaction only underscored the complexity and emotional turmoil of my situation, yet it reaffirmed the importance of my role in his final days. "Why are you crying so much, Megan? He's passed away. Isn't it natural to mourn?" I was questioned, but my response only seemed to irritate my mother-in-law. She accused me of making it sound as if she had never cared for him. In reality, her presence had been largely absent. Her focus on hobbies and frequent social outings meant that the majority of caregiving responsibilities fell to me. Despite my efforts, she portrayed herself as the downtrodden, pitiful mother-in-law to those outside our immediate family, painting me as the cruel daughter-in-law to our relatives. This twisted narrative suggested that I was being unfairly harsh on her, even as I grappled with my own grief. I found myself facing criticism from those who had little understanding of the true dynamics within our household. Frustrated, I began to distance myself from these relatives, a shift that did not go unnoticed by Charles. "You embarrass Mom in front of everyone," he confronted me. I was baffled by the accusation. "That makes no sense. I was just crying over the loss of my father-in-law. Your mom thought it was odd how much I cried, but I never said she didn't care for him. I was simply expressing my sorrow for someone I deeply cared about." As the argument escalated, Charles accused me of insulting his mother and suggested that if my grief upset me so much, perhaps I should reconsider my actions. I stood my ground, reiterating that my tears were solely for my father-in-law, whom I had cherished, and not a critique of anyone else. After his passing, the tension between Charles and me intensified, leading to a fierce argument that required relatives to step in and calm us down. In the aftermath, I chose to remain silent as the funeral proceedings wrapped up. Shortly thereafter, a lawyer arrived to discuss the will and the distribution of the estate. "I'd like to go over the contents of the will regarding your late father's estate. Firstly, to his wife and daughter-in-law, Megan, he has left half of his cash assets to each of you. To his son, Charles, he has left the ownership of the family land and home." My mother-in-law immediately interjected, "If Charles gets the land and the house, why is Megan receiving an inheritance? She isn't related by blood." The lawyer replied, "Your husband was deeply grateful for the dedicated care Megan provided. He wanted to express his gratitude by including her in the inheritance. This decision is final and cannot be changed." Unable to accept this, my mother-in-law accused me. "I can't believe it. You were only caring for him to get the inheritance, weren't you?" I defended myself. I've had a good relationship with my father-in-law since I married into this family. I cared for him out of love and respect, grateful for the way he had always treated me. Yet my mother-in-law continued to accuse me of manipulating him psychologically. Eventually, her protests seemed to exhaust themselves, and the lawyer resumed the discussion. "This was your father's decision," he affirmed, revealing a vindication of my genuine affection and care for my father-in-law. His gratitude was not only heartfelt but also legally recognized, despite the bitter suspicions from others. As the lawyer confirmed the terms of the will, my mother-in-law's previously discontented expression transformed into an unexpected smile. "Yes, that's great. I understand," she exclaimed, nodding enthusiastically. Charles, confused, asked, "What do you mean?" It seemed strange for her to switch her stance so suddenly. With an air of satisfaction, she explained, "Now that Dad's gone, we no longer need to rely on Megan. Her inheritance is just like severance pay. We don't need her in this house anymore." She had grossly misunderstood my father-in-law's intentions, interpreting the will as an opportunity to sever ties with me rather than as a recognition of my contributions. Unbeknownst to her, This was precisely how my father-in-law had planned it. Before his passing, he confided in me his wish for me to be free from the constraints of living under the same roof as my in-laws. He designed the will not only as a gesture of gratitude but as a clever ruse to facilitate my departure in a way that seemed natural to others, including deceiving Charles and my mother-in-law about his true intentions. My mother-in-law saw this as a chance to push me out of the family, seizing the moment while concealing my actual desire to leave. I feigned shock and sadness. "Why would you treat me like this?" I lamented, trying to give the impression that I was merely another caretaker in his eyes. Turning to Charles with tears in my eyes, I struggled to convey my heartache. "I plead with you, you can't understand Megan anymore, right? Why don't you just divorce her?" After a moment of contemplation, perhaps swayed by his mother's influence, Charles replied, "You know what? Let's get a divorce." This dramatic turn of events aligned perfectly with the hidden plan my father-in-law and I had crafted, setting me on a path to regain my independence and escape the constraints and conflicts of my in-laws' home. After the reading of the will, Charles inherited the family home and land, while his mother received a portion of the cash. With these assets secured, Charles casually remarked, "There's no longer any need to worry about living arrangements, so it's okay if Megan leaves." "What do you mean by that?" I asked, though I suspected I knew exactly what he meant. With an indifferent tone, he continued, "I hate to ask, but could you leave our house and agree to the divorce?" Realizing there was no place for me in their plans, I accepted the inevitable. "I guess there's no place for me here anymore." With a calm resolve, I opened a drawer, retrieved a document, and handed it to him. It was the notice of filing for divorce, prepared shortly after our last major argument. Charles quickly signed it, his relief palpable. "Finally, I don't have to deal with you anymore. A non-working freeloader should just get out. You should be grateful we put up with you." "Is that so?" I replied, masking the turmoil inside with a facade of gratitude. "Okay, I understand. I'll leave. Thank you for everything up to now." As I exited, my mother-in-law's face lit up with glee, blissfully unaware of what the future held for their household without me. Once outside their home, I immediately submitted the divorce notice to City Hall. Arriving at the apartment I had secured in advance, I stepped into the spacious, empty room. The echo of my own words filled the space. Finally, I can be by myself. This is great. Overwhelmed with joy, I reveled in my newfound freedom, liberated from a marriage that had become increasingly suffocating. Here, in this new space, I felt a sense of possibility wash over me. I could start fresh, embrace solitude, and rebuild my life on my own terms. My deep gratitude goes to my late father-in-law for devising a clever plan that enabled my escape from the stifling environment of my in-laws' home. With this newfound independence, I settled into a comfortable life on my own, relishing the freedom to continue my remote work. This lifestyle not only honed my time management skills but also boosted my productivity, leading to an increase in my income. I enjoyed a peaceful existence free from external meddling, until an unexpected call from my ex-husband Charles shattered my tranquility. It had been a while since we last spoke, and I was perplexed. "Why are you calling me, Charles? Weren't you the one who wanted me gone?" "Megan, please help us. We're in a pinch," he pleaded, his voice strained. I couldn't help but chuckle at the irony. "What kind of joke is this? My salary hasn't changed, but suddenly you're running out of money." With a mix of amusement and finality, I prepared to deliver a harsh reality check. "That's because you no longer have my income to supplement yours. You squandered your entire salary on yourselves. Maybe it's time you and your mother learned some financial responsibility as adults." Confused, Charles asked, "What do you mean?" This moment highlighted just how much they had relied on me without acknowledgement, and now they were facing the consequences of their financial irresponsibility, a bitter lesson in prudence and planning. "While you were indulging in luxuries, my salary of about $6,500 a month was covering our living expenses. Now I'm earning even more, and I'm doing it all without anyone holding me back." Frustrated and perhaps realizing his predicament, Charles made a desperate plea. "Megan, can't we start over? It was a mistake to let you go. I want to make things right." I scoffed at his sudden change of heart. "It's clear you're just after my income. Don't be ridiculous. I never want to see your face again. What happened to the inheritance your mother received? She should be living comfortably with that." Charles confessed, "It's about to run out. We spent it on a shopping spree, overseas trips, and lost half of it at the casino." Unmoved by his admission, I replied sharply, "A foolish mother raises a foolish son. I have nothing more to say to you. I'm a stranger now, and and I can't help you, nor do I want to." Desperate, Charles implored. "Don't be so heartless. Help me. This has nothing to do with me. There's nothing more to talk about. I'm hanging up. Don't call me again," I declared, ending the call and promptly canceling my mobile contract. A year later, while passing by my former mother-in-law's house, I noticed it had become an empty lot, likely sold due to financial struggles. Unperturbed, I continued with my life, enjoying my newfound free time. I attended a wine class I had long been interested in and met a man 3 years my senior who took our relationship seriously. After a year and a half of dating, we got married. He is an executive at a well-known company, humble despite his high salary, with a warm and wonderful character. We respect each other's careers, leading to a fulfilling married life. Reflecting on these changes, I can't help but feel that, in a way, this was a form of retribution, a gift from my father-in-law, allowing me to find true happiness and respect in a relationship.